I would like to thank Freestyle Digital Media for sending this screener over to me to check out a little bit early and let you guys know if the film is worth a watch. Today I will be talking about the horror film called Children of the Pines, which will be coming to digital and VOD on October 18th. So let's get to it and let's talk about it. Riley, a junior in college, is persuaded by her estranged parents to visit during winter break, only to find they have taken up a supernatural practice in order to fix the deep-rooted issues plaguing their family. The film stars Vas Provatakis, Danielle J Bowman, Richard Cohn Lee, and Kelly Tappan, and was directed by Joshua Morgan, and this is his directorial debut. So Children of the Pines, I didn't know anything about this film. The poster looked really cool. It was a horror film, and I was like, I will give this film a shot. Plus, it is a director's debut, so I definitely want to check it out and see how I would feel about it. So with this film, it starts off with a family in which you have a little girl, a mother, and a father. The father is absolutely going ballistic. We find out that he is an alcoholic, and apparently there is some trauma within the family. It then cuts to present day, in which the mother is approaching a cult-like older couple, in which they do these healing processes, but they have like unorthodox methods to do so. So her and her husband, they go to this cult-like people, and apparently they are on their journey to healing and just uprooting these problems and trauma in their family. And so they go off into their journey to actually do that. And then their actual goal is to get their daughter to come home during winter break so they can kind of rekindle the relationship and just kind of get past the trauma that their family has actually suffered. So then we have Riley, who decides that she's going to come home, but before she actually does so, she stops off at a diner and she ends up meeting her ex-boyfriend, in which she finds out that her ex-boyfriend is actually a part of the family now. Apparently he works for the father. She is very upset by this. They get into a fight, and then she ends up going back to the house, and then the mother is there, and they start to talk about the family. She's learning some strange things. She's learning some really unorthodox things that her family is doing. Apparently they have adopted 2 random kids, and there's just something that is just a little bit off about the family. From a positive standpoint, the cast, the cinematography, and the soundtrack is the top points of this film. I think the cast does a good job here for what they're actually given. The cinematography is pretty good. There's a lot of drone shots and some interesting monologues that they throw in there, in which we hear Riley really talk about her past life and how she's not really looking forward to meeting up with her parents again. And then the soundtrack, it is fine for what the movie is trying to do. This is a slow burn film, and I would say that if you're not really into horror, I think this film would be okay to watch, because it's a very casual horror movie. There's not a lot of blood or guts or gore or really scary moments. Nothing like that. The most interesting attribute towards this film is the cult that they introduce, because that's where most of your action really does actually go down. But I think that cult really isn't really developed that much. I feel like there's certain little aspects that we learn and secrets that we learn about this cult, but they just didn't do a really good job with the direction. I felt like they just kind of fell off and didn't really flow really throughout the film. It just felt like there are certain little moments where you're like, okay, that's interesting, but why are they doing this? They don't really explain it really well, and it needed more rewrites, I think. Then the whole aspect and the drama between the family, I understand in the beginning they kind of throw like little nuggets here and there, and they'll talk about little things here and there, but it's just not that interesting. It's more so a drama between the family. You do hear, obviously, with the father that he has the worst communication with his daughter. He's a lawyer. He's really bonding with her ex-boyfriend and really takes a liking to him. And then there's something they actually want their daughter to actually do, and that's kind of the twist of the movie, which, to be honest with you, I kind of didn't get, but at the same time, I did in a way, but it just didn't really work for me. For me, this is a movie that you can tell that it's definitely a director that is just kind of dipping his toes in the water. He has some interesting ideas here. I don't think the fact that he's directing and writing this film really works in his favor. I think because he is a first-time director, I think he should have had maybe a writer maybe help him out a little bit, because I do believe that he was really young when he wrote this script. So the central idea of this script, I think there's some interesting things about it, but I just don't really think the family drama that is tied into this cult, I just don't think it's that interesting. I don't think it's developed enough to where I was like, okay, like I totally understand, why the father is doing this, or why there's this disconnect of the family here. It just didn't really add up to me too much, and I just felt by the time the film actually ended, I was very dissatisfied as to tying both plots together, but not really having an end result to where I was like, oh yeah, that really added up all the way, and that was good writing. I just felt like it needed rewrites. With the rewrites, they could have added more context to this cult, because then that really would pay off for the family themselves, because it just feels like it's so surface level. Like, this is a movie where it has an interesting concept. It's very weird. It's out there. But at the same time, it comes off as a very dull film because of the fact that it's just not executed to the fullest. Because I really was intrigued by the ideas here. A cult, what are they doing? What are they up to? Then the family drama. But it doesn't tie in together, unfortunately. And also with the fact, from a messaging standpoint here, it seems like they're saying, okay, well, there's bad people out there that do bad things, but in the end, they don't really change. That's kind of the message I got from this film. I'm not sure what the message was, but it seems like that's what it was. But then just, having the fact that this is a horror movie, and there's obviously some strange things going on around in this film, because there is, I just don't think it paid off for me in the end. So as far as a score for this film, I would give it a 2 out of 5. I do think that this director does have some interesting ideas. I do think that if he does another film, I do think that he should hire a writer, and I do think that he should continue with having a good cast like this, having good cinematography like he did. So if he has a cinematographer, definitely have him back or her back. And also the fact of the music. The music was good as well. So you have some foundation to making a pretty good film. But I do think that from the writing standpoint, that has to improve to make it a better film. Because, again, there's interesting concepts, but it just doesn't pay off by the end. So what do you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.